Nobody wants a sore butt on a ride. It can put a real bummer on things and turn a fun run into a numb bum. So in this video, I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks on how to not get a sore buttocks. Riding the right size bike may seem like an obvious one, so this might be a little bit more for my beginner shredders or first time buyers, but being on the correct size bicycle for you can make a huge difference to the comfort of it. Choosing the right one of these, your saddle, is a great place to start, but it can be a bit of a minefield out there. There are tons to choose from, all different shapes, sizes and styles, but fear not, because I'm going to help guide you through it. To begin with then, different types of riding may require different types of seats, so XC, Enduro, downhill, they all maybe have slightly different requirements, but the tip here is to try as many different saddles as possible. Obviously no two person is the same, and that goes especially because male and female anatomy also is extremely different, of course, so the requirements on a saddle are therefore very, very different too. A lot of companies these days will have demo saddles in shops that you can actually try before you buy. It means you can go to your local bike shop, pick a saddle and see what it fits like basically. And you can try this with a few different saddles so that you know which one's going to fit you the best. It's a great way of trying before actually committing to the purchase. If the local bike shop doesn't do that, well then don't worry, do as much research as you can online. Companies will put buyer's guides on their website to maybe recommend a certain type of saddle for a certain type of person. So if you know that you have quite wide seat bones or quite narrow, which we'll get onto in a little bit, then it might recommend a particular type of saddle for you. A few great features to look out for on saddles are things like this channel in the middle here. You see where it's slightly lower? That's designed to relieve pressure exactly where you don't want it. Also the width of saddle, so where your sit bones are going to sit on there, can depend on how much pressure you might feel, so have a little experiment there as well. But I would say when you do finally find the one, that saddle that is really comfy and you can't live without, if you can, buy a couple, because companies are known to discontinue making certain things. And if they do and you can't get it again, well then you'll have a backup. So what difference does riding the right size bike make? Well, this is a great example. This is my Reactor in a size large, which fits me at 6 foot. Perfectly. I've actually lent it to our cameraman, Nick, just behind the screen there, who's 6'2", so he's a bit taller. And you can see he's had to really jack that dropper up. And now what that's going to do is it's going to put his body weight in a whole different position because the top tube's going to be a bit too short for him. So it ends up putting pressure in places that he doesn't want it. And you'll get the reverse of that if you are riding a bike that's too small for you. Oh my God, it's so cold! Ah! Who would do this to themselves? Oh, it feels quite good. Oh yeah, much comfier. You've got your chamois sorted then. It's good, it's comfy, it is nice, it's exactly what you wanted, but there's a little something that you can add either to it or yourself to go the extra distance, and it is this, a chamois cream. It's exactly that, a cream, and you can either apply it directly to this by rubbing it in nice and gently, or doing exactly the same to yourself. If you're trying this for the first time, I'll warn you, it's gonna feel a little bit funky down there, but persevere and you'll notice that the gains in the long run are well worth it. Just think of how much your body and your butt shifts around when you're cycling, all those little micro movements, the friction that generates. I won't get into it too graphically because, well, that's a bit minging. What this is gonna do is gonna help keep things soothed and moving a little bit freer down there to hopefully prevent saddle sores and friction from building up. It's long ride time and it's time to apply some of this and a bit of this. I'll see you in a second. I'm going in. Well, that was an experience. This one I think is the big one, and I think can make the most difference to comfort and its actual setup of your saddle. You've chosen a good one, you've got the good bibs and the chamois and all that kind of thing sorted, but if your seat's not in the actual right position on your bike, well then the comfort could go out the window. So here's a few tips on how to set up your saddle. The saddle can move in 2 different planes, so it can tilt, much like that, and it can slide on the rails back and forth like that. A lot of seat posts these days have ways of micro adjusting this, so once you've put your saddle on, it's not stuck in place. You can then actually make very, very small incremental adjustments to get it in the right position. So let's start with tilt. The tilt of the saddle refers to either how high the front or the rear of the seat actually is. If you have it tilting too far forward, so the nose of the saddle is very low, then you're going to end up actually putting a lot of pressure further back on your sit bones and sliding forwards on the saddle, also putting weight on your arms because you have to hold your body in the right position. By having the front of the saddle tilted too high up, it's going to shift weight and pressure onto the front of you, cutting off blood supply to places you really do want blood to keep on going. Have a play with the seat tilt because this can change depending upon the frame and its seat tube angle, of course. The front to back of a saddle can also change as it can slide on its rails within the clamp of the seat post. This is going to affect the reach from your seat to your bars, of course. So if you find yourself a little stretched or you're pushing back into the saddle a bit, then adjust the seat accordingly, vice versa as well. If you find yourself reaching too far forwards, then consider sliding the saddle towards the bars in the seat clamp. This will help relieve pressure from the front of your body. Vice versa, if you find that you are a bit scrunched up, you could slide it back in the rails as well. Just be careful though, there are normally indicators within that rail as to how far you can slide it each way. There we go then, some top tips to hopefully stop you from getting a sore bum in the future. I do hope they've helped, but I'm gonna go and test my new chamois cream out and go for a spin. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's been a pleasure and I'll catch you next time. Hey Nick, what do you call a dinosaur that cycles too much?
Don't know.
A megasaurus.